She's only really um she's only published four of these, but
All of her special editions are so beautiful. It makes you wonder if she has a hand in helping like
design
keep the
them.
theme and design. Because I say
Hmm.
that because I know Ashley likes the Red Queen.
I
If you
love the
follow
Red
her,
Queen.
right? Well, she's just hilarious. I haven't read the books, but I follow her on
Yeah, she
TikTok and
is hilarious.
she had a hand in her cover designs because she wanted them all to match because she
Yeah,
agrees with us that when they change it up mid-series, it fucks everything up.
Then you
yeah.
got to buy
I
more books.
You're right. I think you're right. Victoria Aveyard, I think that's how you say her name.
Hmm.
You're right. She had a hand in her, and I think Samantha Shan, I think she had to say because she's talked about like because there's a ton of flowers on that. It's the bone season. There's a ton of flowers, and it's very symbolic. I haven't read the series yet, but all the flowers are very symbolic in that season, and she's talked about how she wanted that on the sprayed edges and stuff like that. And so I think she's had a hand in the cover design and stuff like that, which is very good for an author. I'm like, these are your books. This is like, of
Yeah.
course, why wouldn't you have versus just like Sarah J. Maas, like, kind of that
Hmm.
transition or change. I don't know how much of a hand she's had in her book cover designs. Maybe now that it's more popular, she has, but I don't think originally she did. And maybe that's just because she was a young author and
Hmm.
she didn't have like, say or like power when it first got published. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, I had to show you those because they were
They're
so
gorgeous.
beautiful.
They're
So,
gorgeous.
I have I was gonna surprise you guys. This isn't like a good surprise for you. It's more of like speaking of like books and stuff like that. Did you see that Julie Soto's new book, Not Another Love Song, there's a signed edition you can buy with the overlay? Have you
yes.
I ordered it.
Okay,
Yes.
and you can order like her to sign it and you can have like something up to 5 words on it.
Oh, I
Mhm.
didn't know that.
Do you want to know what I put in for her to sign
Can I
it?
guess? Can I guess? Can I
No.
guess?
Yeah.
I'm guessing Ashley had her signed to my Saturday girl.
No, but that's better.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
what a missed opportunity,
You
Ash.
ruined it. Well, no, it's signed to my favorite fiction fanatic.
Oh, that's
Aw.
so cute.
I
I
thought you
like
guys would be more annoyed by it because it's saying I'm her favorite, not you guys.
Oh,
Oh,
no, I think
no.
it's cute.
I
I
wish you
think
would have
it's
told me
cute.
that though, because spoiler alert for people listening, I got a second copy of that so we can do a giveaway, and I should have had her sign something like that in it for the
Mm.
giveaway. Well, I mean, it's from all of us, whatever, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
You
That'd be
didn't
cool.
see that? Yeah, up to 5 words. I mean, I don't think she guarantees. Like, I
yeah.
think it just depends. But you
Hmm.
can, if she has time or can't, up to five
I
words, you
didn't
could put
see that.
something.
No.
How many people do you think asked her to sign to my Saturday girl, though? You
I
gotta
would.
admit, a
It's my
lot,
favorite sticker
probably.
of all time that I have is my Saturday girl.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm on what chapter am I on? I'm on like 10 of that book. Oh my God. It's I'm not even at a spicy scene yet, but I love sexual tension right now. And
Oh,
have you guys started it yet?
Yes, I'm like
mm-mm.
30% done with it right now. I mean,
Nice.
it's so good,
It's
Stace. It's
so
just
good.
classic Julie Soto. Like
I
you can't
know.
put it down once you start it. You love the characters, the banter, the relationship. I
Yeah.
I was reading it last night in bed. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
to go to sleep. I have a
I
full
was
day
reading it this
tomorrow.
morning. I'm like, it's so freaking good. Sexual
So
tension, so good. Anyway, so yeah, we're,
Mm.
obviously we're gonna cover that anyway. So yeah. Okay.
Well,
All
do you want
right.
to jump into our episode then, ladies?
Mhm.
Yes, so
Okay.
excited.
So happy June, nerds. This month we are covering Brynne Weaver's The Butcher and Blackbird. And it's actually a trilogy. The second book came out a week ago, and it's Leather and Lark. So I'm excited about that too. But we're gonna do the first half
Reading that.
today.
I was
Is
say
So
it?
good.
I'm
So
halfway
good.
through
Oh,
that. It's so good.
Hmm.
I haven't started any of these yet.
Stacey, who are you?
My life has been chaos.
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah, I'm like halfway through a Leather and Lark, and it's always just so surprising when you love like these quote unquote secondary characters just as much as the original when their story builds. And I love
Yeah.
Lark. So
Yeah.
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 Okay, so for part 1, we're doing chapters 1 through 12, and it's gonna ends at a good it actually naturally the halfway point was a good like pausing point. So we should just jump right in. So for the first part, for chapter 1, we have, I call it the meet cute because it is the least cutest meetup we've ever heard of, but I was a fan. So it starts off, we have Sloane, and she is trapped in a cage in a basement somewhere. And I will have you guys know I'll never look at that orzo pasta the same way again. Basically, she's murdered a man. I love this book so much. From chapter 1, I love this book. She's murdered a man and got trapped in a cell with his dead body. She's been there for 3 days.
what'd she do? She like tripped over him or something and like
No, he
kicked her.
right before he died, he kicked her in like the chest, and then she fell backwards into this cage and got locked in.
It made me think of You, the show You, like
Oh,
this
I was
cage.
like,
Yeah. I was like, why you thought
yeah,
of Chanel? That's
No, not Chanel,
dark.
but sorry.
like I would do something that's stupid. I was like, thanks.
But you need to picture she's in Louisiana in the middle of summer with no air conditioning in this basement. So she's been there 3 days.
A
And
dead body. Ugh.
He's decomposing, like
ugh.
feet away
Oh,
from her.
I guess I should have said when we started, please God, check the trigger warnings. Like, I feel like if anyone's heard of this book, they know going into it. To me,
Yeah.
it's everything I've ever wanted. Like, her little acknowledgement in the beginning, like, hit my little dead soul. So there'll be a lot of murder and gore and sex and cannibalism, and I can't wait. So heads up, guys. But so she's stuck in there, and I like this book from the get-go because it's such a fast pace. Like, we meet Sloane, we realize that she's a serial killer. She kills her like victim choice for killing people is terrible people who kill people. So kind of like that Dexter feel. But we meet her, and then like a page and a half later, we meet Rowan, and he's the Boston butcher, and he shows up because he was also going to kill this guy in Louisiana. So thank God. So basically, he shows up and saves her.
Yeah,
Chapter 1.
he was already targeting that guy, and uh, so he obviously comes in to like, yeah, like save her.
Save
And
her.
he's hot with an Irish accent.
Can you
Like
even imagine?
immediately you love this guy. Immediately. At
He
least me.
immediately you love him. He's witty right off the bat. He like she's in this cage, hasn't bathed in 3 days. Like he already thinks that she's beautiful. Like, and he comes up with her nickname on the spot because when he goes in, she's seen that song Blackbird. So that's where he comes up with her nickname Blackbird.
Yeah, she's like self-soothing by singing
Yeah.
this song because she's like, I'm about to die next to
Yeah.
this guy.
And so she tells him her name's Sloane, and that her like serial killer name is the Orb Weaver. And so I thought this was nuts, but like basically her MO for as a serial killer is she takes out people's eyeballs and makes these intricate web designs and puts the eyeball in the web at crime scenes.
But she
This
also is like super smart that she like leaves clues about the person that she kills, like because like you said, their killers as well are like molesters or terrible people, and so she like leaves clues in these like webs about their killings to prompt the detectives and cops on how she found them. Essentially, she like and she like cuts part of their like skin and like you said,
Makes
their
like
eyes and stuff.
makes a
And
little map with it, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
locations.
But so far, none of the detectives have been able to like connect her victims to their crimes slash to her because it's so like intricate and complicated. And so but he has. Rowan has been able to, and that's why he figured out obviously that she was like the Orb Weaver. And anyway.
But I just think it's funny and typical, I guess, of a lot of this kind of makes me think of Dexter. And then I know you guys haven't watched the show Hannibal, but a lot of the serial killers in Hannibal set up like really intricate murders, and like Hannibal does too, in clues, and the police never get it. So it made me think of that. That was pretty. I like that little clue. So right off the bat, we know Sloane's smart. We figure out the butcher's smart because he's been able to figure out, these clues. So he lets her out. And I thought this was hilarious. She was like, I'm in the mood for barbecue. I don't know about you. She's been like laying next to this corpse for like 3 days. So they go to get lunch and they just kind of like talk and flirt. The tension's immediately there. It's so cute and well written. Like, I love that I'm saying cute for this book, but it is really cute.
It's really campy. That's
Yeah.
what was it's like campy, but then it's also really dark. So it's an interesting tone switch all of the time, I feel like.
Yeah. So, and you're right, the tone switch, it keeps it very interesting and fresh the whole time you're reading it. Because as it's really serious moments, it's love moments. And even when it's like you said, they're killing people, it has these like hilarious, like, what the fuck is happening moments, which I can't wait till we talk about that murder, but you know what I'm talking about, like towards the end of part 1. So while they're talking, he doesn't want to let her go. He can already sense that if she walks out the door, he'll probably not see her again. She'll like disappear. So he kind of comes up with this idea, and she likes the idea of it, that they're going to do a competition of who can kill someone quicker, like find them and serial kill them quicker. And that's how that part leaves it, like exchange numbers or whatever. And so then right after that lunch, we jump forward a year, and they're getting ready to leave to do their first game, the hunt of who can find and track and kill their victim first. And it's obviously going to be a bad guy they're going to kill. And this is when we first get introduced to Butcher's brother, Lachlan. And he sounds so fucking hot. He is a leather maker, like works with leather. And
But
I
he's
just
also a
imagine,
contract killer as well.
yeah,
So.
I imagine he's like tall, Irish. I didn't listen to it, so I've just been reading it, but I'm sure listening to it with the Irish accents with them talking was everything.
Anything with the 3 brothers, like when they're all interacting, is so funny. I feel like the author does a great job with their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really close, and but like also give each other shit.
Yeah. So we meet him, and then it goes back and forth between him texting Sloane, and then Sloane is with her friend Lark, who knows that Sloane's a serial killer, murders people. It's her best friend. And so we get introduced to them for the first time. When I started this book, I knew that the second book was coming out, and I knew what the title was and everything. So I was really pumped when we first met them and got introduced. But it's just funny because Butcher's brother, he's the one setting up the game, setting up where they go and giving them clues and who they can figure it out. And so the text and banter between Sloane and Butcher is really cute because she thinks he's going to get a leg up because it's brother. And you learn really quick that like his brother probably wants him to lose. Like he wants this girl to kick his ass in this game.
So funny.
And so then they take off to West Virginia, and they're on the same plane, right? No.
I think technically like she is on a plane first.
Yeah, never mind. For some reason, I was thinking they were on the plane together, but I think she was just texting him before she got on the plane.
Yeah, but he still gets there pretty quickly because he's at the hotel when she is. So like, even though I think she technically leaves before him, they either get there at the same time or he gets there pretty quickly after her because he's at the hotel when he's already in his room when she's in the lobby of the hotel. So.
Oh, okay. They're just texting. I was reading this part. So his brother has her phone number too. So this is what I thought was cute. He texts her while she's getting ready to get on the plane, and he says, "And good luck, eyeball spider lady," or whatever the hell your name is. Just think, little brother, your title of loser is about to be official. I love good banter in a book. So yes, so then we end up in West Virginia, which I've never been, I've only drove through West Virginia, so I can't speak of it. But they end up in this like real small, quaint motel hotel that they check into. And sorry, I had something stuck in my throat and I thought I was going to cough for a second. So they end up in West Virginia, and all they really know is that a bunch of people over the years have been disappearing, and they've been saying it's like hiking incidents and such. And obviously, it's someone like knocking these people off, which I don't know if you guys know this. I listened to a podcast called Park Predators. This is like a real thing. People disappear in these national parks all the time.
That's why you
And
don't hike. Just don't even
That's why you
hike.
don't work out. Just
Yeah.
don't do it. It's not worth it.
Just stay home.
I do have a question, and maybe this is just like really like in your face, so everybody knows it. And I was just like, oh, did you notice that all of these throughout the book, all of the serial killers that they go after, they're all based on popular serial killer movies and stuff? Like this is right. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be Bates Hotel, right? Is kind of what this is supposed to be like.
Yeah, and then the other one they referenced was like up in Seattle, which was based off of like the Green River Killer, and yeah.
And isn't one like the Texas Chainsaw?
yeah,
type
literally the Texas
massacre?
Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. I was like, that's what this is.
It sounded
Anyway.
like you're like it sounded so familiar.
So
these
familiar.
You know, my favorite killer was the one who gave Hannibal vibes, obviously. Like the
Oh my
super
God.
pretentious, smart, rich.
It's Ashley, you're not immersed in the serial killer world,
Because it gives me
obviously.
nightmares. I can't handle it. It's terrifying. These people are terrifying.
Can I make a side note and just take a serious turn? I listened or I read an article, and it was like talking about how women love reading about true crime and serial killers, and
But they're
men
the
and some,
victims.
yeah, and they don't get it. And someone said women love listening to true crime and aren't affected by it. Like it doesn't freak them out as much generally, like it does men. And that's because generally victims are women, and women like listening to it because it's women being believed about being harmed or whatever.
Oh.
And that's why.
What?
So the article said subconsciously,
Huh.
because it's generally the audience for these true crime shows, podcasts, all this stuff is women generally. And usually the victims, it's, you know, what is it, like 85% of serial killers are white men or men in general, but most of them are white men. And generally the victims are women. And so women like listening to it, and it doesn't freak them out as much because it's women being believed about being harmed.
Mm-hmm.
People believe them. And so they're comforted by they listen to these stories, and it's victims being hurt and believe that they were hurt.
Yikes.
Sorry, that was really
Interesting.
deep, but it just made me think of it because I read this article and I was like, wow, that's really fucked up. But like, who knows?
Yikes. Well, you're like the victims that survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Anyway,
crazy.
let's jump back into this. Okay.
I know.
So but Ashley's right. So the first part of this competition, the first victim that they're supposed to see who can kill first. The whole ordeal is very reminiscent of Bates Motel, which we'll get into. But I love it because when Butcher shows up, she's reading in the lobby. And he's like, what are you? This is how I knew I would fucking love this book. She says that she's reading monster smut, like a monster, and he has no idea what it is. He starts reading it about, like, he's like DP, like for like double penetration, like
Yeah,
reading
but he
this.
likes it.
Well, clearly, we'll find out later why.
Yeah.
This is why he's the fucking dream. I was reading this part and just like smiling, because don't we want someone, a partner who would read the crazy shit we read and be like, wow, this sounds really good. Like,
Sounds really, sign me up.
Let me
Sign me
read
up.
that.
So they just have like a cute interaction. There's a cat. It made me think of Chanel. I think the cat's name was Winston. Was the
Yeah, that's
perfect
her
name.
crazy demonic cat that she loves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say,
She
maybe
takes
think of
him
Chanel.
home.
She takes them home.
Becomes
Spoiler
her
alert.
cat.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that cat's amazing. Probably my favorite character in this chapter, other than them two.
Yeah.
And then And then the only other person at this hotel is the guy who runs it and owns it. And then he has the house up the road from the hotel.
Yeah,
And
there's no other guess.
no one, it's just them two. So kind of fast forward a little bit, Sloane ends up going on a date with this guy from the hotel. Butcher does not like this, obviously. He is annoyed. He stays up the whole time she's going on her date. Clearly, she's doing it to like try to get information about the area and like who this killer could be. And then we go head first into the deep end with the smut right off the bat, which I love. So their rooms, the walls are next like to each other. So he can hear pretty much, you know, how whatever hotels are. And she gets home from her date, and I'm sure from all the sexual tension that you could cut with a butter knife, she starts wanting to self-explore what's happening.
Stacey, I
And
was
he can hear
waiting to
it.
see what word you were going to use
I
for
was
this.
gonna say, yeah.
Self-explore.
I couldn't decide what to say.
I could not. She starts to self-explore.
So she has a toy, and you know, she's starting to get it on with herself, which I support 100% always, you know. And she says Butcher's name,
Which is Rowan. Can you
which
just
is Rowan. Sorry. I love calling him Butcher though, because it makes me feel like he's a serial killer all the time, and I love it. So
he's
she
also a man. Let's respect him.
He's also what?
We
No,
res-
Chanel.
We respect hetero white men.
a hard pass. I'm just kidding.
I had it.
So she says Rowan's name. He's gonna lose it. Like he's gonna self-combust. And then he hears like a noise, right? How does it?
Yeah, in
he's
the
like,
wall.
Yeah,
yeah,
he
he's
hears a noise in
listening
the
through the
wall.
wall. He's like this. He's listening through the wall. And then, like you said, he hears a noise because he's listening
Mhm.
through the wall. And then it's the Francis guy who's the owner, and he's in the wall.
He's also
Watching
with the wall
her.
watching. It's not as hot when we find out it's him doing it too.
Yes.
In Rowan's defense, when he realized what was going on, he did start to back away, so he wasn't listening to her. Like
Yes.
he
Yeah.
was not trying to be a creep about it. He just happened to hear Francis when he was like backing away from the wall,
Yes. Yes.
breathing and like moaning into the wall. So
Yes. Yes. So then he was like, oh hell, I gotta stop this guy.
Yeah. So he like Kool-Aid Mans through the wall to get Francis.
it's so funny. Like
It's amazing.
Poor Sloane on the other side, like just somebody bulldozing through these walls.
But not poor Sloane. She set it up. She knew that the guy was there. You find out that it was a whole setup. Like she
Still, like I don't think she's expecting people to come through the wall.
Well, okay, yeah, but she's like, then she ends up getting mad because the dude runs away because Rowan busts through the wall, and she was like, "What the fuck?"
I
What
don't know. Did she know that
Rowan?
he was watching her through the wall though? Because she
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
saying Rowan's name and stuff. So I feel like she wouldn't actually be, she'd be
Yeah.
like more faking it.
No, so I don't know, she probably wasn't actually like faking it because she, like you said, she was saying Rowan's name, but like she planned to set it up because she knew that guy was creeping on her.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that she knew that he was the killer, and like that's why she was trying to get information. I guess I didn't catch it that she knew that he was in the wall.
Yeah,
But
yeah. She knew that he was like watching her. She probably didn't know where or anything like that, but she definitely planned to like rope him in and and like she knew she was like acting as bait by getting herself off. Again, I don't think she planned for Rowan to bust through the wall. But it was
No,
definitely a setup.
Yeah, I just look. So I got to read you this part though, because I think it's hilarious. This is when he figures out that Francis is in the wall. I march, and then very quickly goes into, like Chanel said, that it was a setup.
Mhm.
I march over and rip it out from the plug. This is a lamp, gripping its long body like a baseball bat as I turn towards the section of the wall where the pervert is hidden. I'm just about to take my first swing when the eyes of the painting flicker open. A real set of human eyes stare back at me and widen with alarm. Oh shit. My instant my instant of shock dissolves into fury as eyes disappear, leaving dark holes behind. Motherfucker. I rush the wall and smash the painting with my weapon, lurching halfway into the tiny hidden room when the thin canvas gives way and nothing behind it. I don't even catch sight of the other man. I can only hear him scurry away like the fucking rat he is. And then it jumps to Sloane, and she's saying, Rowan Kane, you fucking Irish pervert weirdo. What the fuck are you doing? I'm gonna fuck you up. No, no, no,
Yeah.
I protest. And then it jumps down a paragraph because she's like trying to beat him up. And it goes, there was a man in the wall. I blurt out. That was Rowan. She goes, I know. She snarls as she shoves me with both hands. His name is Rowan Kane, and he has no fucking boundaries because he's a. Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think she knew that guy was in the wall. She said, yeah. She's saying, yeah, Rowan was in the wall.
She didn't know. She knew
Yeah.
Rowan was listening. Well, she didn't even know Rowan was listening. She knew when he. Oh, she didn't know this because look, people were like, did they even read this fucking book? um. Rowan says, and then I heard something. I say, grabbing her wrist with my free hand. I tow her behind me. She squirms in protest, but I refuse to let go. You're right. There was someone watching you in the wall, and he took off right before I had a chance to see his face. Let alone bludgeon him with the lamp. And then she like looks in the wall and sees the room and whatever. She assesses it, and then she says, "Motherfucker." So she didn't know that. She didn't
Oh.
know.
She
I
knew
don't
that
think she
he
knew.
was the killer.
Yeah, but she
And
didn't
I
know
think
he
she
was
was trying.
watching her.
I just
Mhm.
don't think that she knew that she was being watched.
No, you're
During that
right. She
time.
did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay.
I
I
was like
thought she
Chanel.
was.
I think I was just reading it too quick, and I got confused too when she said, "I know," and
Yes.
She
she
thinks
meant
But she was
like,
Rowan's
talking about Rowan.
being a
yeah,
pervert.
Yes. Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. When she said I know, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, she like was setting that up. Like that was a gotcha. Okay. Okay.
I do
but
feel
honestly, this is a compliment because when I get all giddy and I read too quick, and sometimes
Uh-huh.
so anyway, go
Yes.
ahead, Ash. What were you gonna say?
no, I love both of them, but I think it just also shows how smart Sloane is because she figured it out so quick that
Mhm.
this
Oh yeah, that
guy
he was the killer.
was the
Yes.
serial killer, and Rowan is just so, in not a bad way, obsessed with Sloane. Here he is pouting all night because she's like looking hot out on this date, and he's just pissed, pacing his bedroom.
Jealous. Yeah.
Like
Jealous.
she's winning the competition.
He's just
Seriously. And that
wasting
that comes up
hours.
later too. That comes up later too. Like
Mm-hmm.
where she's super smart. Not that he isn't, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No, no, you're right. It's just cute. So you can tell he definitely thinks more with his heart and his emotions, and she's very analytical and can like separate the two. Whereas he's like, instead of planning why she's going out on a date with this guy in this random hotel in a weird pink shirt, he just sits in his room fuming for 4 hours walking around.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yes.
So then they take off after this guy. He's running up towards his house, and you hear him get in his car, and he's like speeding away. This scene was effing nuts.
It
Rowan
was
just
really intense, you guys.
So intense, this whole scene.
jumps on top of this man's hood to like, what is he gonna do?
Stop him.
What's he
I
gonna
know.
do?
There's
This
no
Insane.
man's
plan.
none. He's like, this guy's got this car like trying to swerve all over the road to yank him off. Rowan's just holding onto the hood, like beating the window in with his other hand, trying to get in.
No.
So in the confusion of this crazy scene, he hits a tree, which thank God Sloane's like, there's a tree, so that Rowan rolls off the hood. And Francis gets out of the car. He's all beat up. And this is where we really see we know Sloane's killing style, which is again, not to bring up Dexter, but it seems very Dexter-esque with how she kills people. Very surgical, knives or scalpels. Takes her time. It's very planned and meticulous. You can tell she's a thinker. And we know that they call him the butcher of Boston. So we assume there's maybe like knives or whatever. We don't really know how he kills people yet. He literally beats Francis to death in front of Sloane with
Mhm.
his bare hands.
Yeah. Very, like you said, emotional, right? Like
Yes. Mm-hmm.
very emotional. And Sloane is like watching it for the first time and she's overwhelmed.
That's a good word for it. She is
Yeah.
very overwhelmed.
Yes. And I think this point really defines their relationship. Like
Mm-hmm.
for both of them. You see it from at different points of the book. You see it from their points of view where they talk about it and where it almost was like the breaking point in their friendship and then eventually their relationship where
Mm-hmm.
she could have walked away and not like stayed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was very interesting.
And like Sloane doesn't hear, he whispers something right to Francis right before he kills him. We get to hear what he says to this guy, saying that Sloane is his, basically his emotion that he would violate Sloane in that way has driven him to like this rage in his eyes. He blacks out almost from the rage and just completely demolishes this man. Um, it freaks Sloane out. So at first, when it's all done, he starts calling for her and he's positive that she has ran away. And we find out later she thought about it, about just running away because it was so intense to see, which is valid, the emotion from it. But she shows back up and she ends up helping him dispose of the body and like taking care of his knuckles are obviously like totally fucked up and she cares for him and it's really sweet and they basically part ways after this and they make plans that they are going to do it again, have their little competition.
So I have to say that, so I love this book. So let me preference this before I say this. This was so intense to me that sometimes this is what I struggled with a little bit in this book is that it's so campy sometimes and like, in a good way campy.
Yeah, in a
And then
fun way.
and then all of a sudden it's like so intense and dark. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, huh, I feel like I was having whiplash with some of my emotions here with this.
Yeah.
Because he does. I mean, it's pretty graphic. Like he beats this guy to death, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh.
Well,
Anyways,
it's like you said, like, I don't mean to say like so much. It's as you said, when he's watching and, watching her and through the wall, it's intense, but it's funny. Like him and Sloane are fighting, they're chasing this guy. It's a violation of her privacy and all this stuff, but it's still funny how it's
yeah,
happening. And then, like you said, it takes the turn where it's serious. We see how quickly he seriously feels for Sloane, and it does give you that whiplash, but I love it. It
yeah.
keeps
Like
Yeah.
you, like you
I
said,
still
keeps it
enjoyed
fresh.
it. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's like the first time I feel like you really kind of get that whiplash into it. But
But I
Hmm.
think it also explains, like, I mean, we're dealing with death and murder and serial killers, and you kind of have to have like there has to be a reason of why they do what they do, of
mm-hmm.
why they like their backgrounds and so I think you understand to an extent like he obviously has trauma and rage in his background and it's coming out, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I mean, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
alludes to his like his trauma in his past a little bit, like with his dad and stuff like that. And she obviously has some in her background too, but
Hmm.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. Then we jump forward about 6 months later, and Lark has convinced Sloane because they've been texting and keeping in touch and flirting and all this stuff, the tension we love. Her friend is telling her, you should go see him in Boston. Clearly, you like him. You talk about him all the time. You guys talk all the time. And Sloane is very hesitant to. We find out Lark is really the only person in her life that it's like her only family, the only person she talks to who knows the true her. Obviously she really values Lark's opinions and stuff, so she's decided, okay, I'm gonna go see Rowan in Boston and see his restaurant, which is called Three and Coach. And we find out later it's called Three and Coach because he has two other brothers, and they ended up coach like being in coach in an airplane when they had to leave and start their lives over in Boston. So like that's how the name came about. She's really nervous. She shows up at this hotel or at his restaurant. He has no idea that she's in Boston or showing up or anything. And the hostess sets her at this like very large booth and it's just really cute how nervous she is the whole time. I just remember when I was reading it, the waitress is like, "Do you want anything to drink?" And she's like, "Alcohol. Just give me the alcohol." And so she gets a drink and a meal. She doesn't see Rowan at all until she's actually getting up to leave, because she sees Lachlan come in with a group of people, and she immediately can tell it's his brother. There's like the Irish accent, they look similar. And then Rowan comes out of the kitchen, and I'm sure in my head he looks so hot, just like tall. The chef's thing rolled up makes me think of the bear, but like a tall person, you know.
See, I was thinking of Emily in Paris, the chef from that show. Do you guys watch that?
No.
Anyways, I love the chef, the actor who plays the chef in that, and he looks great in a chef costume, and that's what I was picturing.
The
Anyway,
chef costume.
or you know, an outfit, whatever
His
it
little
is.
costume.
You know, like
It's
our
the chef
like,
whites.
it's a good look, you guys. I
It
love
is a good look.
Oh my God.
But she immediately freaks out that she's there, and he confronts her. He's pissed at the hostess that she didn't like let him know that she was there, and their encounter is very brief, and basically she runs out the door and just
Well, and then she leaves like on a napkin, she draws a blackbird.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's left there.
Which ends up being a big deal.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because she's an artist. Right? Maybe we find out about that
Mhm.
later or something. But she's a great artist.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
Like favorite level.
don't even start, Chanel. We don't know how good Feyre is. Nobody ever actually says that her paintings are great.
Tamlin said they were good, Ashley.
Stacey, you still have my Tamlin thing. You got to give it to me this weekend.
I gave
Yeah,
it to
I got
Chanel and
mine.
she has it.
Is it in your car?
No, I haven't taken it out of the package, but
I
Stacey-
got Chanel and Ashley this little car air freshener. It's like a little tumbler cup with a straw, and then on the inside it says Tamlin's Tears.
I cannot wait. It's going up as soon as I get it from you this weekend.
I can't. I didn't know it
Oh,
was supposed to go in my car. I gotta put it in my car now. Maybe
Chanel
that-
actually got to see your other present that came that is book related. It's
Mhm.
pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, not to brag since we're talking about gifts. Chanel, you're gonna die when you see what me and Stacey got you for your birthday. That's coming up.
What?
Chanel's gonna be old, guys. I mean, not as old as me and Ashley, but
Yeah, I'll never catch up to you guys.
Now
no one
stop.
will ever catch up to me. Once you have kids, your spiritual age goes up like 5 years by each kid. I'm like 65 years old now.
Now stop, Stacey.
I'm not kidding. Yesterday it was like 7:30, and I looked at Theo and I was like, we should probably get home. It's getting late.
Oh, God. Yeah, I wish I could keep a secret better, but I'm so excited about this, Chanel. I cannot
Yeah,
wait.
keep it. Stop it.
I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I just want you to get excited.
I am excited now.
Okay,
I
okay.
didn't think I was gonna get anything, so I'm definitely
What are you
excited.
talking about? You're like my favorite person,
Aw, thank
even
you.
more than Stacey.
I was gonna say that's all I care about. That's the gift enough for me.
I couldn't live without you too, seriously. So
Aw.
That is
All
true.
right, Stace, get back to it. Let's get back to it.
Okay,
before we get all emotional.
Yeah. We'll save it for the end. Everyone can skip it.
Yeah.
And
And so she takes off. She leaves. She like immediately flies back home. And this is why I love Rowan's character in this book. He does not take it. He ends up going, and he's sad, and he tells her once she leaves, he wishes she would have stayed because they could have cooked together, which is so sweet.
I love this part so much.
Mhm.
It's so sweet because you can tell that's something he'd really want to do with a partner, is make food with them. And of course, if you're a professional chef, I'm sure it's a very like intimate, fun thing to do.
Mhm.
So he ends up going to her house. He knows that she is kind of flighty and nervous. He pays this kid to drop off ingredients to cook things at her front door, and then he calls her. So he's there watching her get the groceries.
Yeah, I was like, he was
Mhm.
literally across the street.
And then they text, and and my favorite part is the first dinner she makes has orzo pasta in it, by the way. I don't know if you guys caught that.
I did. It's
This
so
writer
funny.
is so great. And it's so sweet. He walks her through how to cook things so that they're kind of cooking together, but giving her space at the same time to really process what's going on.
Mhm.
And he does it 3 days in a row, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he never goes to see her. He never lets her see him. And then he goes back home. But it's really sweet and it's
Mhm.
very intimate. I loved it.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
It's really,
It was
really
really
sweet.
sweet.
It like
And
shows like how you can know someone but still like you said, like make a connection with them and still be
Mhm.
intimate and yeah. I liked it.
now it's time in my book in my book. Now it's time for this book for one of my favorite parts, murder scenes, whatever. Then we go forward. It's time for their yearly competition. And it starts out that Sloane is on a date with this man. She's reading his personality immediately. He's wealthy and she's figuring out his personality and how she's going to like get back to his place and seem interesting but not too smart and like you said, very like we've said, her character is just very intellectual. And then here comes fucking Rowan, just busts into this all this work, all this preparation. He just blows it all out the window. He shows up at their date and just joins their party. The guy thinks he's charming and funny and is like, join us, have a
Mhm.
drink, you know? And then
So now it's like a threesome.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's a throuple now.
A throuple.
A throuple, if you will.
It's a throuple. And so Rowan gets himself invited to dinner with her. I can just see her like Sloane rolling her eyes and like, here we fucking go. Like I was gonna, I had it all set up to win this so easy and have it planned out. So they show up at this man's house to have dinner. And he's very pretentious with this wine and everything. And Rowan's just yucking it up. He's not paying any attention. He's just having
But
the
this
time of
kind of
his
goes back to
life.
what you said, like where he is just like kind of like clueless. Like he's, you know, like not like thinking sometimes. Like she's very observant and like,
Mhm.
yeah, this guy seems a little off. Like, yeah, he's rich and
Mhm.
like charming, but she's like picking up clues. Like, probably did a little research on this guy. Like, because the whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, I would not be one drinking this wine from this guy, or at least like pacing myself.
Yes.
And then, and like you said,
Yes.
Rowan's just like breaking it all down. Then the food, I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
I also would like he's gobbling. He like I can't even remember what the food was. But he was just like, oh, I freaking love steak tartare. I think that's what it was. He's like, I freaking love that. And I just immediately was like, something's off about this, like this food. I don't know, like it suspicious about this guy. And she's
Mhm.
like trying to signal to him, like, freaking Rowan, don't eat this food because this guy, there's something off about him, especially when they're supposed to be on a competition. Like, you're literally looking for a serial killer.
Mhm.
And like, why are you just trusting him so much? But again, one, he's not thinking, and two, like, he's drunk, right?
He's
So,
too
Yeah.
focused on Sloane this whole
Yeah,
time.
that's
and
the problem.
that's
She's
the
the
other
He's
thing.
like,
ultimate
I'm
distraction.
just gonna let her do the work. I'll just like ride these coattails, come in here, finish this job off. He doesn't even know what kind of serial killer this guy is that they're
Right.
going. Like he didn't do any research on this
Yes.
guy. And she's at least, because you get her point of view too, she's at least clocking like
Mhm.
when the host is drinking from the same bottle that they are. And then when he
Yeah.
serves them wine that he's not drinking from, but
Mhm.
and he's just like you said, Chanel, he's just knocking it back.
I
And she's
know.
trying to signal him, like, what are you doing?
Yes. I'm just because even I was like, before she had like pointed that out, like, in the book, and I'm listening to it, I'm thinking to myself, your mission is to get a serial killer. So clearly this person is off. Clearly this person, like, you got to watch this person, what they're doing. They're not normal. They're evil. And why aren't your like warnings going off? And he's just like, like just
I love
toddling.
you, Sloane. Like,
I
Notice me.
like,
He's
love
literally
me.
he's talking to this host. He's like, "Oh, this would be better with like this and this," and like they're just yucking it up, and she's just sitting there like,
no, I know. And like I said, she was trying to warn him about the wine, about the food. And
mhm.
like I said, once he started saying, I freaking love steak tartare, I was like, something's up with that freaking
What
dish.
is
Which, So what is steak tartare? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was gonna say, because
Oh.
what you just said, she mouths something to him about the food or the wine, and what does he think that she says? Something like he likes her or something. Like he's so focused.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. I
He
think he
like
was like, I love
misinterpret.
you.
Yeah, and he's like, love you
Yeah.
too. And she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And so
Anyways,
she's
go on.
like, oh God, I love you. I don't freaking love you. I mean, she just thought it was a little premature.
Just a tad. Just a tad.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause then that ends up coming back up because he's so drunk and
Mhm.
he pretends like he doesn't remember, even though he does.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, like you said, he admits that he's in love with her, but
The, I have to
sorry,
jump
I'm
back.
jumping all
No,
over
no,
the
you're
place.
no, you're good. Because the scene is so funny. There's just so much going on.
Yeah.
So I also want to read some parts. She also clocks that this server that he has that's
Oh,
serving them
yeah.
is acting really strange. So there's this part she's looking at Rowan trying to tell him like, and it says she starts like mouthing to her head. He's just looking at her, and then she starts to mouth lobotomy, and he just tilts his head
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
And she's like, lobotomy, and then he goes, you love me, like,
That's what
Yes,
it
I
is.
think that's what it
That's
is.
what it
Yeah.
is. You love me?
and then she smacks her, and then she like does this, and everything all right, my darling. Thornton asks David,
Yeah, that's the guy.
or Thornton asks her as he's like looking at David about David's the server. And then he's getting really forward, their host, and she's saying how she doesn't necessarily she might want to leave because she'll have an early morning for work. And then Thorsten says, late mornings at this rate, the wine is going down like a tree. And he has this really weird, charming smile. She's like clocking all this. Fucking Rowan isn't paying any attention. She's trying to get his attention. And then he looks over at her. His eyes are all glassy, like you said. He's getting ready to pass out. And he's like, you look so pretty, Blackbird. That's what he says. And then he says, Sloane is the most beautiful girl in the world. Um, and then you can tell he's ready to fall over. And then my brother called me, I can't say it because I don't have an Irish accent, with an Irish accent, calls him a fucking idiot because I could have all the pussy I wanted in Boston, but instead I've taken a vow of abstinence. And then she says abstinence to correct him.
Oh.
And he goes, abstinence over a girl who doesn't even want me. And then he passes. Oh, and then he says he's eating beef noise.
Oh,
And
Niçoise, beef Niçoise.
Niçoise.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just made me think of a movie where they can't say Nisal white, right? Like the salad. I just said it wrong. But anyway, he says he loves that meal, and then he pretty much just passes out in the food. And she's probably like, thank God. Thank God you passed out at this point so we can handle this.
With some of the meat like hanging out of his mouth, right? Like he passes out with it. It is not beef. BT
No.
dubs.
So then when Rowan finally wakes up, she tells him that it's human meat, that this guy is a cannibal. So he's like throwing up. So he's been drugged, and then he's vomiting everywhere. She's probably like, Jesus Christ, like, do I have to do everything?
Ugh.
But then we see the scene she set up. Their host is actually still alive, even though she has ripped out his eyeballs with him alive. And she's made this very intricate, artful like web, and we find out that it's actually a map. And this we get a better deep dive into how she sets up her designs for her victims to leave clues. And she talks about how she's pulled certain things from like this man's bicep for the bee for the victim, the last victim he killed, and it's actually like a map to this victim's house. And she kind of says how the police won't figure it out. And Rowan's just dying. He feels terrible, like from being drugged. He's eating human meat because he wasn't paying attention. Like Chanel said, he says he doesn't remember the things he said about her before he passed out, even though he does. He doesn't want to freak her out.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite part is the ice cream part.
This still gives me like
you said, because then they go into the kitchen and this is when you like officially meet that like servant guy or helper guy who's he has had a lobotomy.
Yeah, so we find out that the guy that's that Sloan killed that they've been tracking for this competition, he's given this guy a lobotomy so he can be his helper server without going home or whatever. Sloan convinces Rowan to basically take this man with him to work in his kitchen because she doesn't feel right leaving him there. This man's eating all the food in the kitchen when they go in there, all these human remains. And then he's just like shoveling in this ice cream. And I thought this part was hilarious because Rowan's like, please don't tell me. And she's like, do you want me to tell you what this ice cream is made out of? It's like cookies and cream ice cream. And it said, I had it highlighted. It's on like the label. It says semen, milked on like April 12th or whatever.
Well,
Disgusting.
Say the date. Say the date.
Oh, okay. Let me pull back up. Pause, please.
Pause.
Pause.
It's so gross. But clearly, like, you know, that guy is
Where'd it go? Hold on one second. I literally
dumb.
Oh, at one point she goes, oh, sorry, this isn't this part, but it's too quiet, she whispers. I don't like it. Maybe he wandered off. They're talking about David. And then she says, maybe he's in a meat coma. And then Rowan says, Christ, too soon. They peer through the door. David is sitting on the counter, his legs swinging in his glazed blanket as he spoons what seems to be cookies and cream ice cream into his mouth straight from the tub. That's a relief. That's what Rowan says.
But yeah, so they're like, something's off about this dude.
And then
he's eating human semen.
And then Rowan asked Sloan, when did you figure out who he was? And she said, pretty much right away. I would be like, duh. And wait. Oh, and then he put, did you ever consider at any point that you might want to clue me in that about a cannibal inviting us over for dinner? She shrugs. Maybe, mostly only when I was scraping human meat off your tongue. Up until then, no, I can't say that I did. You insisted on worming your way into my dinner invite after all. Okay. I might never look at ice cream the same way again. Oh, well, she's reading the homemade label when she draws to a halt in front of me. I might never look at ice cream the same way again. I don't want to know. Ingredients: cream, Sloan, sugar. Rowan says, I'm begging you. I say, but as soon as beg leaves my lips, her grin ignites. Semen, milked April 10th to April 13th. Yeah. And then he throws up again in the sink. Okay, good. Yeah, so that was the date.
Because that's important.
So.
Ew. Ew.
Ugh. That ain't good.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, yes. So basically after that, they're going to go their separate ways. He's agreed to take David with him. He takes him to the hospital first, and then he ends up taking him back to Boston with him. But they talk pretty much every day after that. This was like a big turning point in they were talking a lot before, and it was building up to this, but now they're texting almost daily, and then they're calling each other all the time after this part of their competition. So then this is the last part in part one that we get to before we'll break. It jumps forward eight months from when they had their cannibal dinner together. And Sloan has decided that they're going to go on like an actual date. She's going back to Boston, and she's going to go to this Best of Boston gala with him. Lark's helper picked out this really beautiful dress. She's all dressed up. She's super nervous. She's pretty much knows she has feelings for him at this point, and she's more open to it, I guess. And they meet and they talk. We find out that Rowan is in the process of opening a second restaurant, which is exciting. It's exciting later. We'll find out in part two. There's cute parts to it, but
yeah. So he's super busy.
Yeah, which I can only imagine. Just I know nothing about restaurant. I've never been in the restaurant business or anything, but just from watching 3 seasons of The Bear, I can only imagine how stressful it is.
And that's got to be accurate. So
it has to be. So they're having a really good time. They're dancing. They both look really hot. They're flirting. And then Rowan is like, oh, do you want to get out here and have some real fun? And I knew instantly when I was reading, I was like, he is going to fuck this up. He thinks they should I knew he's going to set up, they were going to like murder someone together. And she's getting the impression that they're going to have like alone time together.
And like make it
And
official.
yeah, like
Yeah.
more focused on a relationship, the
Hmm.
sexual aspect of it, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like seal the deal and be like, we're like boyfriend, girlfriend, and like romance. Because that hasn't
Hmm.
happened yet, obviously. And he's like,
And yeah,
yeah, let's, be best murder buddies, like
yeah,
we're
he wants to do
murder
a joint
pals.
murder. Yeah. And she's like, wow, you are clueless right now.
Yeah.
It made me really sad.
Hmm.
Like it's sad
I
because
know,
Sloan is so disappointed. I
I
don't know.
know. But it's not like he wasn't feeling that. Like you could see
Yeah.
he's obviously attracted to her and like he like wants that. Like he wanted to kiss her, but I think he just likes being friends. Like he likes that aspect of their
Hmm.
relationship as well. I don't know how to
Hmm.
describe.
In my head, I think he's so emotional things with his heart. He doesn't want to scare. I think he's always afraid he's going to scare her off. So I think that's
Mhm.
why he thought doing a murder together would be great. So it's not too serious for her.
Yeah, yeah,
And this is the moment she wants it to be that. So yeah, it's the
yeah,
miscommunication of it all, you know?
yeah, yeah. I don't think it was like malicious. I don't think he was like
Mm-mm.
rejecting her.
Yeah.
I think it's like he's still trying to like take it slow and be like,
Mm.
let's
Hmm.
just keep going with what we know and what we're good
Yeah.
at. Yeah.
What's working?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the middle of them like talking this out and figuring out what's happening, he gets a call and there's an emergency with the new restaurant. So he has to leave. And she's afraid that he's just going to leave and they're not going to talk. And she would basically, she's like, well, if you still want to do our competition, um, and all that, they're after they leave, they're texting this. And he says, I miss you already. And she texts back, I miss you too. And then she says, are we still on for August? No pressure if you can't. Truly, I know you have a lot going on with the restaurant and everything. This is so sweet. I have chills. And it's a text message. He says Blackbird dot dot dot, as in like he's still texting. I will blow this restaurant up myself before I miss it. I'll see you in August. And then and then he says, and then change your oil, you bloody heathen, because he's stalking, creeping her, and knows that she
He's
hasn't changed her
stalking
oil.
her.
Which we love. We love a
We love
toxic
it. We love
stalker.
it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
no problems with me. I love it.
Hmm. And then that's what we'll pause for part one, and we'll do part two next week.
Sounds
Hmm.
good. Yeah.
So
Mm.
obsessed,
Yeah.
obsessed.
It's so good.
Hmm.
It's so
Yeah.
good. That is a good like middle point to end though, because I
Yeah.
feel like after this it gets. I mean, the whole thing is exciting, but a lot more happens too after this. So
Yeah.
You know.
Part two, things just like go 0 to 60. Like,
yeah,
we ain't hitting the brakes next week. Okay, guys, prepare.
True. True, true. Yeah, yeah. We doing some kudos.
Yeah, I'll go first.
okay.
I'm very prepared today because I've been drinking espresso since I got up this morning. So I'm ready to go. I got 6 hours of sleep, guys. My baby slept 6 hours. I could run a marathon right now.
Stacy, like you look so refreshed. Your hair looks great. You have makeup on. You were like drinking Starbucks. Like you're just the mom doing it all right now.
Seriously.
Well, Ivy's been waking up every 2 hours for the last 3 nights. My sleep has been horrendous. So when I woke up at 5 this morning and she had been asleep for 6 hours, I was just like, oh,
Oh, I'm refreshed.
I'm so
Refreshed.
refreshed.
You're like, I'm a spring daisy.
Um, so my main kudos this week, I have to shout out my mom. So me and Theo are in the process, because why would we not with a newborn, of selling our house? And we have 2 dogs and we just have showings and everything. And I don't know, people who've sold a house, they probably know this. I totally forgot from when I've only sold a house one other time and I didn't remember this part, but you get like an hour's notice usually before someone comes to see it. So it's kind of stressful, one, with 2 kids, to make sure the house is somewhat decent for people to walk through it and see it. But we didn't want to have to worry about leaving the house with our kids and then taking 2 dogs. So my mom has taken Stitch, my little French bulldog, and she's been so great. Oh, I know he's spoiled. I feel bad because since we've had Toby and now the baby, he's not the baby anymore. It's hard for him. She took him to get groomed for me yesterday.
Oh,
And so she's been taking care of him. She's gonna take care of him this week and next week, probably. So I want to kudos her for sure because it's one thing off my plate that was really stressing me out. So
She's
yeah.
called me every day to update about Stitch. It's
Mhm.
so funny. She loves him so much.
Oh, he's
She,
a good boy.
she likes these dogs more than us, honestly.
she does. She loves her dogs so much. And Stitch is, oh, I know he's sleeping in the bed with her, cuddling,
Mhm.
getting treats 24/7. I'm sure he's gonna be
Homemade
like
treats.
oh yeah, my mom makes them homemade treats. Where's my homemade treats, Mom?
She'll send some homemade dog treats home with you, though. So that's a plus. She does that for me sometimes.
Wow.
Mhm.
She's A+ mom right there.
Mhm. Yep.
Dang.
Kudos to
Mhm.
Donna.
Kudos to Donna. Yeah, you doing the damn thing.
Seriously. I'm gonna do kudos to my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law, because I got to spend some time with them this week and they took me out to lunch and it was fun hanging out with them. So kudos to Kendall and Kiki. And also it's Father's Day this weekend. So kudos to my dad. And kudos to Bob, who I took out for lunch, and he's my daddy, my zaddy.
We love a zaddy.
Chanel, I cannot with you right
And we
now.
love Bob, okay?
I love Bob. I said to him, I was like, Bob, you're my sugar daddy. You buy me things, and you're my confidant, and I always ask about decorating and stuff. So
And
you're
fancy
my
art and
yeah.
landscaping.
Well, because Bob has the best style of anybody I've ever met before, ever.
He
Mhm.
does. So I said, happy birthday, sugar daddy. Yesterday at lunch. So
I'm sure he loved it.
Mhm.
yes. So happy Father's Day to them. So yeah, those are my kudos.
Love it.
Well, my kudos are for you guys because I love you, and this made my whole weekend because I missed you. And then I have to give a second kudos to like all my work friends because I'm so grumpy all the time at work and they have to deal with me. So I've been extra grumpy for some reason this week. There's like dog stuff going on with my dogs. They've not been doing great. So I think I'm just a little anxious over it. And
Mm.
work drives me crazy in general. So, but they always make me laugh and kind of like joke it off and are so supportive. So I'm lucky to work with like people that I really love. So all my mid shifters and a couple of the day shifters sprinkled in there. They make working bearable. So, and you
I
guys.
feel like if anyone's ever worked any kind of healthcare job, they know how fucking stressful it is. So
So
it'll make anyone grumpy.
I have to tell you this story just real fast. This is how ridiculous and dramatic I am. So Danny, who's been on the podcast and is all of our friends, we work the same shift. So we always park and walk in together every morning, right? That's our routine. We park by each other and we walk in. Fridays are called fifth floor Fridays. Okay. Me and Danny almost like broke up yesterday, friend wise, over this. Fifth floor Friday, every Friday we park on the fifth floor. I am like rushing into work because I'm running late. Like I'm just flying up the garage lot to get up to the fifth floor. As I park in the spot, Danny calls me. He's like, "Hey, I parked on the second floor. There's a spot down there." I instantly just like lost my mind. I was like, "I got to get off the phone." I was like, I literally, I said, "I would never do this to you." Like you would
It's
have
like a
thought,
betrayal.
like you would have thought that he murdered somebody or something. Like I would never do this to you. And I was like, I'm getting off the phone. I wouldn't let him talk. I was literally like, bye, and like got off the phone. And Danny said later when we were talking it out, because I could see him like walking in because I was waiting for the elevator on the fifth floor and there's a window. I could see him walking in and he was just shaking his head walking in. I was talking to him later about it. He's like, yeah, I was like, I get this enough outside of here. So I just said, I'm going into work. Like, I started laughing. I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I was so upset about that, but I just could not handle it in that moment that you didn't bark by me. I'm insane.
He's been friends with us long enough. He's not surprised. He knew exactly what he was doing when he parked on the second floor. He knew what was going to
Yeah.
happen. I don't even feel bad for him.
That was the ultimate betrayal. Oh my
Ultimate.
God.
Why would he do that to you?
He said that
I mean, that was literally like some Harry Potter, like
Mhm.
Peter Pettigrew during,
Betrayal.
like
Peter Pettigrew.
that's
Well,
That was
he's-
very Peter Pettigrew of him to do to you.
He said that he was calling me to try to catch me before I got up past the first floor so I could park by him because there's another spot. And I just could not even handle it. And then all day the joke was just like Danny, everybody gave Danny a hard time because everybody else parked on the 5th floor too, because it's 5th floor Friday. And like I was like, we have to stop giving Danny a hard time. He's never gonna be friends with us anymore. He's been getting it since he parked. He was so happy when he called me too. He's like, you won't believe it. I found a spot on the 2nd floor. Instantly just like killed his joy. It's just like an asshole. Like I don't even know. Anyways, that's how crazy I've been this week. So
Yeah,
kudos
you
to all
have.
of them dealing
You
with
have.
me.
I love it. I think
Anyway,
that was a perfect story to end on, honestly.
Yeah, Stacy, you want to lead us out now?
Yeah. You guys have a great week. We can't wait to talk about part 2 next week. So make sure you listen and make sure you read what you like.